Still got 4 minutes, Jim.
4 minutes, okay. I'm passing around some notes, you can kind of follow along how we do a CMA. And if anybody has anything they want to interject or add to or correct, go ahead and do it. Really. I'm going to hand around a sample CMA too. You want to pass that around? Does anybody know what my password is?
Did you forget?
Call Nikki.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
What? Take it. Thank you, man.
Well, I gotta go and see what my password is.
Well, good.
So how many? I only have this year.
Need any information, ask Nikki.
Yeah.
oh, you're in capital.
Yeah, thank you. What was it?
Exactly what we thought.
Okay.
And do you care if the door stays open?
Doesn't matter.
Whose class is this?
I asked,
And I agree.
we need to vote.
I think you voted for us.
So here's a question. You've got on a bedroom, your value of 4,500. When you talk to a builder, it's approximately 10 per
More,
bedroom.
yeah. If I'm doing a new home, I'll change those adjustments.
Okay.
But I usually for normal
Older homes, it's just 4,500.
any home.
So what do you do? It has to be like brand new within a year, or is it brand new within 2 or 3 years before you can
Say within a year.
No, within just that. And that makes a difference too when you switch over to the.
You gotta use your own judgment. But changing these adjustments back and forth is kind of a pain.
Yes. it is.
Exactly. This is very helpful.
It's wonderful. And fireplace,
Are you gonna sit here?
500 is Well, it depends on.
It depends on
Hey, Katie.
well enough.
Is it would be possible to record? Is this going to be recorded? Okay, thank you very much.
I think that's just Kim stuff.
Here, John, you know, I'm not going to be here the whole time. So why don't you take this one? No, I just. I gotta take this phone call anyway. Hello.
We ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, do a CMA. I'll test you after
Okay.
I think what we're gonna do here is just start off with a fresh CMA. I just figured let's do a 3-bedroom Rambler with 2 bedrooms or 2 baths, 2-car garage attached, and then do a search for that type of property.
So we want to search for, what was it, 3 bedrooms?
Okay, we're gonna start off with a full search.
Rochester only, right?
You see that?
Yeah.
And I
3
usually,
bedroom.
we're doing a full search.
Mhm.
We're on the next screen. It's gonna ask if you want active, pending, closed, expired, withdrawn. I do them all, just so I can show what's active, what's not, what sold, what didn't sell.
Jim, why do you like a full search versus a quick search?
Because I'm gonna narrow in on an area like Rochester, Northwest. And you can narrow in on any place you want. So I'm gonna go for all of these. Residential. Hit next. Okay, we're gonna do a single family. And the city's gonna be Rochester. And we're gonna go bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. We're gonna do a 1-story house. I'm not gonna bother with fireplaces or anything like that right now. Garage stalls, we're gonna go 2-car. And just assume that the house that we have, that we're comparing to, has an attached garage. Go up, oops. Go to exterior.
If I want to walk out basement, where do I find that around?
I think that's in here too. We're gonna do attached garage. And if you wanna walk out basement, go to interior.
So when you select exterior garage and you want an attached, do you do and or just or? You
I
leave it
just
at
do
or?
garage type attached. Cause that's all I want. Cause the one I'm doing a CMA on has an attached garage. And you can take, like, if you don't want tuck unders. Does that say tuck under?
So,
2 down from attached is
I
talking.
just want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. Here's what mine says. I got an attached, and then it says or. Do we leave that there?
Ooh, got a different screen than I have.
Well, no, yours is the
Is it?
same.
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
It would be just
Do we
attached.
take that little dot out that says or?
Oh, you don't
and
want,
or?
you don't want and, you just want attached.
What I'm saying to you is this something that you have to remove, that little button right there, the blue one.
This one?
Yeah. Do you take that out of there?
No, I don't think so. This
Okay.
is gonna say and, you just leave it right there.
Oh, you do? Okay.
We don't want tuck under, so we're gonna say.
And you don't want tandem, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't want tandem or tuck, oh, that's tandem. Tuck under, we don't want them either.
Okay. So then you just select whatever you don't want for sure.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Okay, did you get that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to the main menu here. Back,
Yeah, they are.
maybe.
How do you, oh, okay.
Okay, we have, right now, you can look, summary here, tell us what we're looking for. We're looking for all list, active, pending, closed listing, single family, Rochester.
Oh, summary. Are you on summary?
Yeah, hit the summary right here.
Okay.
Right here. I guess I can point to it. Okay, we're gonna narrow this search down to,
Sold, right?
No, we're gonna narrow, well, right now, we're gonna narrow it down to northwest Rochester. Cal went back to the,
Oh, that's all.
how'd I get out of my CMA? Well, I have to go back, I guess. So I'm screwed up here.
Did you move CMA?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Did you click on
No,
CMA to
no, I
start with,
didn't.
Jim?
I just am doing a full search.
No, that's where I am, just with your search.
Oh, that's because.
So you're
that's
just
my
doing
menu
a
bar.
search right now?
That's what
Yeah, I'm just doing a search
right
I
now.
don't have to go in and search the menu. I start that. So it's always up there. These are the ones I selected to be on the top.
And that's maybe a different variation of what I've got as well.
They kind of look a little bit.
Are you on this screen? Oh, I'm on this screen, so you're on it. Okay, we got everything. Garage stalls, two bathrooms, 3 bedrooms.
Are we gonna say that all bedrooms are on the same floor?
We could, but
Let's
I'm not
try.
gonna do that. I'm just not gonna do it.
Okay, whatever.
Okay. We can see our search results right now with what we have. And I think we're gonna have a lot. Where's it? Loading. Got 403, we don't want that many. I'm gonna edit the search,
Northwest.
edit search, and we're gonna go to location.
Rochester.
We can either go northwest or we can go 55901, so I'm gonna go northwest.
I usually use the zip code, it's just, maybe not.
We still have 137.
You wanna
So
check? Oh, wait, no, you're.
What are we doing now?
I'm gonna
Well,
narrow, I'm narrowing
Have
this
you got it
down.
in
Right.
Rochester? Are you searching Rochester?
Yeah, Rochester Northwest.
Okay.
Northwest.
And I'm gonna narrow it down some more by lot size,
Oh. So you,
if I can find it. Let's go year built too. Let's go like 1980.
to what?
Year built 1980 to, let's say, 1990.
Okay, so Jim, big picture, you're pulling up just comps really, you're not comparing it to a specific.
On that side.
I am gonna put in the specific one
Okay, that comes later, okay.
next, yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna go 1980 to 1990 built,
And lot size you got?
and where's lot size?
It's the 2 under that, under remodeled and then approximate lot.
What's the difference between a house built 1980
I
and
never
1990?
checked, I never.
That's about the age of the house that I'm doing the comp for.
He's in edit.
When did they go to 2x6 wall?
That's where I got.
Pardon?
When did they go to 2x6 wall? 2x4?
What are
Oh, I
you-
don't know. I don't have an adjustment for that.
Is that a trick question?
No,
There we go.
about 1985, 1984. They passed code for.
Yeah, I'm looking for lot size or acres.
It's,
Such as.
it's under garage
Nice
stall.
to meet you.
Exterior walls.
Interior.
Yeah.
I think you have to go to the next page, go all the way up to the top. And then go to,
Right here. Main menu.
Isn't it down there towards the bottom? Where it is for acreage?
Yeah, I got.
Scroll down one more.
I have 2. But I might need some stuff. I might be looking at a couple of here. It's already there. 2 garages. Two.
Don't see it. Oh, here we are. Acres.
Yep.
I'm gonna just assume this is a normal city lot. I'm gonna go up to 0.33 acres. So I'm eliminating everything higher
So
than
0.33
that.
or 0.33?
Just 0.33.
Okay.
I got 0.
I had 0 too.
So I gotta go, let's go, 0.25.
4.
Okay, we got something checked here that shouldn't be checked.
You got 0 and just put in the, here we go.
Oh, I see.
I do?
There's 1 to 0 and you did that.
23.
1.24, 1, 2, 5.
Now I got your-
1980
I
to
put the
1990?
Number of constant acres, 0.23, not lot size, or
Yeah, and the acres right here, right? And you did do 3.
just take out the lot size and see if you're still at 0.
and then mine went down to 2, I don't know why.
Because you probably have something checked
I have
that I
three
don't.
bedrooms on the same floor.
Something
I have
is
that.
holding
Something
us
is
back.
holding it up.
A single family.
Let's see what's in the summary.
Did you do anything with
Yeah,
that?
because there's 0 there, so
Yeah,
something is
there's
keeping
where-
it.
Okay, so maybe that's your difference. I don't know
The
anything
tax
with
year,
them.
it's your bill, not tax year.
Where do I have tax year?
So that if I
Very
do-
first, top of the second column.
Oh,
so that if
okay,
I do 2,
that should do it.
change to that. Good catch.
it didn't.
Oh, I still don't.
There you go, you got 10 now, Jim.
Okay, that should be good. We'll see what our results are. No, I searched for active and pending and closed and expired and everything. I didn't get any active ones. So I'll have to go with the closed. There's one pending in there. We can leave that in there. We're gonna select all of these just for the hell of it.
So you're gonna take out
Where did we get
withdrawal,
that?
canceled, expired, and just use pending and closed,
Yeah,
right?
just the closed ones, that's all I got in this search anyway, so except for one pending. Then I'm just gonna take a look at these and see if they're the style of house that I have.
Yeah.
My style is like this, like the one you see here,
Which
and this one,
Oh,
attached
8.5
garage.
to me?
So I'm gonna take out the ones that are like this. You see this?
I'm looking up here because my results are different.
Oh, they are. Should be the same. Okay, I'm taking that out, and that looks
Tell me
like,
why.
because it's a different style house.
Okay,
I want the attached garage, just like the one I'm pointing at right now,
Okay.
like this.
okay,
I'm gonna take out the tuck unders if anything came up. Sometimes they're listed wrong in the MLS too.
Yep.
You might see a tuck under garage that says attached. So I'm gonna keep the ones that look like mine. This one doesn't. That does, that does, that does. This I can't see. I'm gonna take it out because it's probably way out of our price range anyway.
What, 33rd?
233, 235, 237. This is probably, I'm gonna take this one out too, because most likely our price range, and you'll probably have a price range in mind when you go to a house, because
And do you look at the tax information,
yeah, I look at that. And
and,
just,
and what you, because sometimes those are so bad
Yeah.
and so off, you can't even get close.
I'd look at more the real list price. That's somewhere within a range, It's not gonna be, usually not too high. I'm gonna take out the ones that don't look like mine. So I've got 6 selected right now. That's all I'm gonna have to use. I'll use the 6 closed listings. So once you have those in there, then you just hit CMA. And we're gonna use the selected results. Gonna do a full CMA. It's clicked down at the bottom. There's next somewhere.
On the very bottom.
Okay, and leave that square footage in there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but it works for me.
Just leave it in the bottom.
Hit
Where did
next.
they?
So Jim, tell me what you just did. Why did you select that, why did you select that one?
Oh, because that's what I always did. I think the square footage is probably one of the main things or something. If you're looking for acreages and you want to compare that as a highlighted thing. I just don't do acreages much, so I don't know.
Okay.
And then we want to do this for, let's see, Joe Smith. And you're going to click on here where or enter your name. It should go in, should fill in automatically. I'd click this, always use the current date because you may redo this again. Next. And then we want the subject property. Now, you can either, if this house has never been listed or if it's canceled or expired or something, you can put it in a MLS number, it'll automatically fill in.
Where would you put the MLS number?
Pardon?
Where would you put the MLS number?
Goes right, well, you just,
Auto-populate.
this is auto-populate.
Okay.
But first thing I'm gonna do here is I have a template set up for mid-range homes. I'll show you how to do that too. So what it does is it changes, I add fireplaces, number of garage stalls, and I just put some other information in here like, well, fireplaces, 3 bedrooms on 1 floor was mentioned.
So you put it on the far side of that?
Well, what you do is you'll have a, let's see, town homes. I've saved this, so I don't have, there's a template that comes up automatically, I believe. And you can change that and add different, like, okay, to the standard, can you see a standard one on your computers?
Standard templates?
Yeah, the template with these. I think the standard one shows bonus and things like that. You don't want them, so I made my own. And you
So
can
if you
take,
don't want what's on there, you just click the X on the right.
what you do is if you have, like, say if I want to change this, I want to add a new item to it.
Okay.
Okay, you have a list. Let's see. You look down here, can you see this?
Yeah.
There's a list of other options you can put in there. Like, let's say partially finished or whatever.
Or if there's like a wheelchair ramp or something really specific you want in there.
Yeah. If you can find it.
Okay. And then that pulls it over to the right side.
Yeah, that'll pull it over. Let's,
What is this list you're looking at?
well, you can put in siding, exterior if you want or whatever, and put a value on it. But I'm not gonna add anything in here, but I can show you what the list looks like.
Items.
Well, once you set this up, and I'll show you how to set this up, not today, but personally, if you want to, I'll show you how to set these up. But you can, once you have the items in here that you want to use for comparison, you just save that template. This is already saved, so. Save. Okay, we're gonna go to the next page.
Okay.
Oh, what's it saying? Forget that, whatever it is.
We didn't put a.
Okay, now it's gonna show all these comps. Now, something I do on all of these comps is I'll look at them individually. And it has the sale price automatically in there, but it doesn't have the closing cost. How can I get this?
You mean the seller concession?
Yeah, seller concessions. I will, this house sold for, let's say, $179,900, but they paid $5,000 in closing costs. So I'll make a note of that, write a note, go down all the rest of them, make a note, go back. And close this.
You can put that on your template, Jim? At the
No,
bottom?
you have to do that yourself, do it manually.
Well, it's on one of my templates that I have saved so that when I'm doing my preliminary stuff, I can see what those are.
Why isn't it closing?
What do you
Oh,
mean?
I see, this one.
Got it.
Okay,
You can go to that template that Jim had up there, and where he had that drop down arrow where you could pick siding and things like that. You scroll down, it's got seller concessions, seller sold information, things like that. I put it on the very bottom line of my template. Because I have about 7 or 8 different formats for different templates.
good.
And that way I can print that sheet out separate and show it to the seller and say, here's what these numbers actually mean. This is what their concessions are.
Okay, that's good to know, because what I've been doing is you click this green button on the right, And then you can re-enter the actual sales price and say this is 174.9. So that changes the price to 174.9 because of the seller concessions. I do that for each one, but I'm not gonna do it here. Okay, we're in the adjustment part here. Now you can auto adjust. Now, when you auto adjust, you have your preset adjustments. Like I have $4,500 for, well, it's on your sheet there, for bedrooms, baths, fireplaces, this and that. And you hit auto adjust and it'll adjust every one of them. This one's saying that auto adjustment. What's that? Never seen that before.
Did you have to put those numbers in so that when you hit auto adjust, it adjusts
it
those
adjusts them.
numbers? And where do you put those numbers?
Here's a warning, if you ever go back in and check those or change anything in adjustments, always remove all adjustments and then do it again.
Duplicate it,
Yeah.
You didn't put your subject property.
Didn't I put my subject? Yeah, we did. We auto, oh, we didn't. Never mind, you're right. We talked about it, we didn't do it. Okay, we're gonna auto-populate it from, here's the one I want to compare to, 4078. What's going on here? Any idea?
Would you recommend Chrome?
How do I get out of this?
Just click on your create CMA. There you go.
There you go.
78 or 38.
Submit, so that's submit.
Okay, there's my house. 2 bedrooms on 1 floor. This one doesn't, so I'm just gonna manually enter no. Number of fireplaces, this one had none, so I'm gonna put 0. Put 0 in there. And next. Is that clear?
Yeah. And then this is where you do your adjusting on the, for the concession.
Yep.
Yep.
And you click on some number, some little icon there. And
Auto, okay, we're to this auto adjustment thing now. That should do it. 27 adjustments were made. Now the next we'll say price analysis. It'll show the houses that we're using, the 6 houses and the adjustments that were there. Sometimes I'll look at this column here to see, am I in the range that I want to be? If one is way out of the range that it should be, or you really feel it should be, like this $200,000 one here, I don't think we have a chance of selling it for that price. I would take that one out. So I'm going to go back to my comps. That's 39, 35, 39. I'm going to take that one out, hit this X. It's no longer part of your CMA. Back. We already did our adjustments, so we don't have to hit that again. Next. Yeah. Next. And this is going to give you a price range. I always do, it's saying at 175 to 215, which is too high. I'm going to do it within 2.5% of what the recommended price is.
You gotta
You
recalculate.
gotta recalculate.
Oops, go back.
Hit recalculate.
Okay, that gives you a range between 2.5% above or below what the recommended price should be, or what the program recommends. And I click all of these, so it sorts. This is how your report's going to look, and then save it. Another thing is as you're doing the CMA, save it a lot, because sometimes you lose everything if you hit the wrong button, like I do a lot. And then CMA name, we're gonna call it, CMA XXX. Save it. Then the irritating thing is you have to go back in and open it to continue. Gonna view it. This is our comp house. It has your information automatically placed in there. Now the comps are all in an area northwest. Shows a map. And there was one in here that was pending. And it'll show where the pending was, the most recent sale. This is the pending one. This is where our house is that we're doing the CMA on. It shows all the houses that you compared with. We have 6 of them. And if you do increments of 3, 6, 9, it shows up better on your CMA report. You don't have any blanks.
I mean, 360.
On your CMA report, when you print it out, you'll have full pages rather
Oh, I
than
see.
one and, and then 2 blanks. These are statistics, list price to sold price on that house, or on the houses. It's a recommended price. There's one that's higher, one was right on, and 2 are lower than what the recommended price was. These are a summary of the closed listings, the pending listing, and this is the whole report. Now I usually print it off of here rather than do the print button on the screen, the CMA screen. Do your print preview and then print it. Just seems to come out better that way. Print. I usually do color and 2-sided. Say 2-sided there.
Probably my portrait.
What does it say?
Yeah, landscape. For settings.
Do you see 2-sided?
Go to the on the bottom. It's not for
You're printing the PDF, so you want to print the sheet. Oh, no, what? Easier just.
I think that's the way your computer's set up.
It could be, try scrolling up real quick, Jim.
do at the top.
They click that button that says change right there. Yeah, she might not have hers. This is,
Well, I won't print it unless you want me to print it.
no, we're
It
good.
always comes up.
Anyway, that's the basics of a CMA. And setting up, I can go back here, and let's go back and you'll find your CMAs over in the search thing over here. Right there.
It's a little subject page.
Totally.
I already got it. Okay. I want the. Right up. So, amount of possession. That's what I did, sold it for amount of possession.
I'm gonna go back in and show you where those adjustments are.
Just click on it. Then I go to. It'll pop right here. No, I think you have to go.
Okay. But it's already. I'm gonna put it there.
So then you can, if
Like that there, is that what you're saying? The apple one? Yeah, so whenever I tried to, so I went back to that template and it didn't keep it again.
Did you save and replace?
Yeah,
If you go to edit adjustment list, you'll see a list of adjustments that and you can go in and change the numbers on here any way you want. If I'm doing it like a new construction house, I might put $8 or $9 or $10,000 for a price of a bedroom or bath. But for most houses, I just put $500 in for acreages because I'm just doing, or $5,000. What was it? $500 a unit. Well, that's for multi-level. Square footage, I put like $30 in there. You put $30 to $50, and just keep in mind that you're already adjusting the bedrooms and baths by $4,500. So that $30 just comes into play for how big the house is. Fireplaces, I put $4,500 in.
And that's just on an average home, that's not on brand new construction with like doing modern features or whatever, right?
Right, yep. Here I got acreage is $5,000 an acre. And it'll adjust, like if you have a place that's 0.2 acres and the next one's 0.33, it'll adjust it based on $5,000 an acre. Garage stall, or is it any square foot, I put $30. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't, but I have the adjustments in there. Fireplace, $4,500, baths, $4,500. If you think that's wrong, let me know, but that's what I've been using. Year built, I put a number in there. I just put $500 in there.
Per year?
Just,
Or what?
yeah. It gives some adjustment. It might be more, might be less, but it seems to work for me. And just so I have a number in there. What do you use, John? Do you use something?
2,500.
2,500?
Yeah,
That's fair too.
Right.
But we have to consider we're comparing apples to apples, so we're not going to have a huge price difference in there. We're going to try and get our comps to be as close to our
the
houses.
age of the home. is what
Right.
you're saying.
Right.
You do
Yeah.
an adjustment on garage stall?
Yeah, I do
$8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah, right, right, exactly.
How about attached versus detached?
I don't have an adjustment for that.
Okay.
I just make a note in there, I put on my CMA if it's attached or not. And you can, if they ask about it, I say, well, some cases it does, some cases it doesn't, but we're doing all attached garages in this case.
John, do you make an adjustment for attached or detached?
Pardon me?
Do you have an adjustment price for attached or detached?
I don't.
I built 2 of those houses that were on the CMA.
That's good.
I use $5,000 for an extra stall. And $3,500 for attached versus, I think it's more than $3,500 for attached versus detached. But you gotta pay them something to walk.
Yeah.
Right. So $3,500 is fair?
I try to keep it simple so I don't have to redo my adjustments all the time, I try to get my comps as close to mine as I can. If I can't and I have to branch out and go further out, things like that, I'll do. But I'll try to narrow in on a neighborhood like Northwest, but if I want to expand to go Northwest, Northeast, and then Southwest, and then Southeast is the last straw. But they seem to come out pretty close to where they're supposed to. Passed around a couple of CMAs here that we did. One was for my daughter's house, 2 stories. And the CMA said we should sell it for $159, but we were just starting that, 2 years ago when things started shooting up. So we listed it at $269. Ended up selling for $259 with some closing costs. But I told them that if we don't sell it at that high price within 2 weeks, we got to get down to $259. That's what my CMA said, and we sold it at that. So.
Yeah.
But it gives you a range too. So if people come out, I lost a listing not too long ago. They said, well, our house is worth $250. It was a tuck under garage Rambler. And I said, no, it's never could sell for that. I said, at the most, $225. Well, we want to start at $250, so they did. It didn't sell. They canceled the listing. sold for 200. You know, it irks you, but you still got to tell them the truth. You know, you can't just blow smoke. Better to be right than no. It's better to be paid.
Did you take that listing then or walk away from it? Did you
I
take
walked
it?
away from it.
You
Well,
walked away.
I had the listing for like a month, and they just insisted on this 250, and I said, it's not going to work. We're not getting any showings.
Well, one of the arguments that I have had with my clients too is.
You get into arguments with
I
your
do.
clients.
I say, and they're nice arguments.
Customer's always right.
Whatever, I mean, you still have to come back to 90% of the people are gonna go to the bank and get a loan. And the appraiser has to substantiate this price. We cannot just pluck it out of the air.
Settle
We
down.
have to, and I get so angry.
I can tell.
People are stupid. I mean, they just.
This is recorded. People are uninformed. People are uninformed.
I will confirm. I'll confirm that statement.
They think that they can just plug a number and they have to substantiate it somehow. We come up with the same numbers the appraisers do. I get the phone calls from the appraisers, how'd you get there? Let me get back to you. You know, and the questions are always, are there multiple offers on this? Yes. And he goes, well, what were they? I go, well, I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you one. Okay, then I can make it work. So it's like, you know, they have to be substantiated. And the closer you can get, of course, is.
And if you have a range too, and this shows you a range, and then you do a net sheet for them too, at the high price, the middle price. I say best case, worst case, and what a middle scenario, or where I think it's going to sell at, and that'll show them their bottom line. I'm sure most of you are familiar with that. If you're not, we can get it to you. Just that sheet should be in one of these CMAs too. Last page.
Oh, the net sheet, you mean?
Yeah, it's in one of them.
Somebody
Never had that notice before.
Yeah.
When you have $50 in there for
Here it is.
number of acres, is that
That's
per square foot, or how does that come out?
50 and I had 500 something,
I thought it was
or 5,000.
$5,000 per acre.
I had 5,000.
Yeah, what?
5,000, I think.
I was just looking at your, where it says adjustments for comparables, and it's got $50.
I think it only took $50 off based on
Based on the
The square
size,
footage
the
and
lots must have been,
how much of the 5,000, how different they are from each other.
Okay.
So one might be 0.24, one might be 0.25, and so it took out $50 or something.
where'd you see that? Are you looking like in here in one of these?
Yeah, it was something like this, just had a negative adjustment for $50 for number of acres. So if you
Okay,
scroll
so-
down, you'll probably see it.
Yeah, the acreage must have been very close.
I just wanted attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was 0.13, that one's 0.14, so $50. That's based on 5,000. So they're really close, there's not much of an adjustment. Some of the bigger ones, so it's a 0.25, so there's $600 adjustment on there. It gives something, you know, it gives a value to it. Who knows if it's absolutely right, but it's. Any other questions? Any questions?
Now, I have one thing to share with you that I just discovered yesterday afternoon. I looked at a piece of property. I have 2 appraisals on it from 10 years ago. The appraisers have the wrong square footage on the main floor of the house. The question is, do you think there's a difference between 1,624 square feet on the main floor versus 1,508?
There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I got 2 different garage sizes, and I'm like,
You know, appraisers aren't always right, but I have a brother-in-law that's an appraiser, just by him several times, and he says it looks good to him.
Oh, they're not fussy?
Well, they're
Not for
fussy.
100.
They have adjustments for,
I do know that when I've talked to the appraisers and they call me, you know, I don't know why I must not be the only agent that they have questions for, but they said that Andy Mulholland, they cannot trust any of his information. Yeah, because his numbers are incorrect, you know, he'll use total square footage for the house that he sold and the basement was unfinished. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
somebody's
Yeah, I've
gotta
seen some
report
of
it.
this where they'll do like total.
but who wants to go there, you know, and.
Well, you can do it
Yeah.
anonymously too,
Yeah.
through the MLS.
And
Yeah.
don't trust the county information. County's got this one wrong too.
Yeah.
So what the impact is I've got it sold, and before the appraiser comes out, if he pulls up the county information to his appraisal,
Your other
he's gonna have
friend.
too low a square footage.
And if you do go to the county real list, check their numbers, you know, if you're gonna use them. Make sure they have the right number of square footage. A lot's usually right, because it's off the county records. Size of the house could be right, could be wrong. They have a,
And I got the
Space.
blueprint, so that's why I know what the square footage is, because I calculated it out, I'm like, two appraisals are wrong on it.
yep,
I see it on the
So you know more than you think.
No. What do you?
What you find that square footage,
Do you research?
well, I do. Use outside that when you calculate for me.
Pardon me?
Use outside.
Yeah, outside.
it's good. I've got a 100-foot tape that I use if there's questions, you know. If something comes up and the seller says, my house is bigger than that, measure it. And it's not too hard.
And if they look at it,
And I usually step them off from the outside because my step is 3 feet. So I can count my steps and I know if I'm off a foot or two. And then I'll get the tape measure out.
Yep. If anybody wants to borrow mine, they can. Any other questions about net sheet? I always put a net sheet in with my CMA, and I always do the stats that Zach was showing. I do the city, the quadrant, and then the neighborhood, the development. And it'll show how many houses sold in that, sold, listing, pending. And then you can see how many are on the market, how many are active. You can see all of those statistics and throw that in with your CMA too. And then the monthly report that we get from Mel, put that in there too. It shows those are good numbers.
Make sure you have them sign their net sheets. I'm not selling it for that price. I still need to have you sign this, that we discussed this, right?
Yep, I send it along. Then I usually, you know, I'll send them my listing packet if anybody wants to see it over there. I'll email that to them and I'll bring it to the first listing appointment along with the CMA. So I'll have 2 packages for them. I'll send them a pre-listing interview, and sometimes they'll fill it out, sometimes they won't. I'll ask them to have it ready for me when I get there, because you'll find out a lot of information right there. You don't have to backtrack and get email addresses and phone numbers and stuff. If anybody wants my listing presentation, you can have it. I can email it to you, just fill in your own information. If you don't like it, don't use it. If you like it, use it.
I want you to email me.
That should be in the Keller Williams.
Is it in the Keller Williams?
It's in the Dropbox, I thought, or. I don't know.
I mean, I have questions, but I just want to confirm. I guess I could just confirm to it.
How do I get to Keller Williams Dropbox here?
I mean,
Do we have to go to transaction?
What are you trying to do?
I want to get it. I want to show them where the net sheet is in the Dropbox.
You might have to go steal Nikki, to be honest with you.
Okay. I just want to get into Dropbox. Right here.
Looks like you are. Go to OneDrive.
OneDrive.
OneDrive, see if that's.
Where's that?
So while Jim's trying to find Dropbox, I'm gonna ask you guys a couple questions. So how many of you, based on what you saw today, do your CMA a little bit differently? I do. Absolutely. Here's the takeaway in that. just about every agent out there approaches CMAs a little bit differently. There's no right or wrong answer, unless somehow you value a $200,000 property at $1 million, then we can revisit that, right? But there's really no right or wrong. In a CMA, is it a fact, or is it it's an opinion? It's an opinion on price. It's an opinion on market value. And oh, by the way, who or what determines the value of a property? The market. The market.
Who's the appraiser?
Yeah, the market through buyers and men. No, don't get me started on that. The appraiser does not determine value. Buyers do, based on what they're willing to pay for it, right? So you can approach them in several different ways. Jim has showed you a very detailed way. Jim has basically showed you how to do kind of a pseudo appraisal. That is one method, and you're going to find that that method works great with some clients because they want that level of detail. If you took that to Katie, our MCA, who is a CS personality, she's going to love it. She's going to want to see those numbers. She's going to want to see that $50 adjustment, right? You brought that to me, I'm like, dude, how much should I list my house for? Right? I don't need all this other stuff. So some of it's understanding the client. You might want to do the work and bring it with you, and then read them based on the rapport and the conversation you're having to see just how much detail do I need to go into, right? So creating the CMA is one aspect of it, but then the next question is, how do you present it, right? And I'll share with you. Have you found it yet, Jim? Are you still sure?
No, I can't find it.
I'll ask.
Don't be afraid to show them your
You
paperwork.
I don't know. Where do you go find it? Katie?
What I did for years, when I had a CMA, is I'd walk into an appointment and I'd sit with the sellers and I'd say, hey, I would say, Leanne, this is what I think we should sell your home for, and I would just tell them the number, right? Well, I was shooting myself in the foot sometimes because I didn't know if they were going to be within the realm of reason or not. So what I started doing, and this is I learned this at Bull, I didn't come up with it, is I would say, hey, I would share with them the comps at a high level. And I would say, based on all the information I just shared with you, where do you think we need to, what price do you think we need to list your home in order for it to sell sooner rather than later? And I just shut up. Because if I don't give some parameters, or if I don't give any context to what their home should be listed for, and I just ask them randomly, you think I'm gonna get some pretty random answers? Right? Or sometimes they'll say, that, you know, if I just ask you, hey, what do you think your home is worth? They said $350,000. Okay, great. So now let me go over the comps with them and then give them some parameters and say, based on these parameters, based on this information, where do you think? And all of a sudden, oh, well, based on this, we should be at 325, right? So don't even give them the chance to just pluck something out of the air, like Leanne said earlier. Give them some parameters, show them the comparables, and then say, based on this, where do you think we need to list your home? And ask them for the number.
But I still have to.
Absolutely, and let's go into that a little bit.
A lot of times they'll just say, well, you're the expert, you tell
They
me.
do say that. They do say it, and I'll say,
Or they
great.
say, the neighborhood, you know, I'm living in is really nice, and so I should be able, this is where I think it should be.
Well, here's another way I ask that question. Here's another way I ask that question. I'll say, Leanne, do you already have a number in mind?
Yeah.
What is it?
580.
Great, that's what I'm looking for. Now I know you're a crazy person. I'm just kidding. But that's in all truthness, being truthful. That's what I'm trying to get them to reveal. I want to know right now, is this gonna be a 45-minute appointment because they're a reasonable person and they're already being real about their price? Or does this have the potential to be a 2.5 hour long presentation because I'm going to sit here debating them the entire time? And oh, by the way, I'm never going to win that debate.
No.
So I will wrap things up based on whether or not I think are they within the realm of reason or not.
And how do you wrap
Wrap it up. I was
Show
gonna
me
say.
what yours.
Looks like this. Bye. No, just kidding. So what we'll do is I'll do kind of similar to what Jim mentioned. If I'm coming in, if my range has you me coming in at about 230 and you tell me 250, I say okay, Leanne, here's what I'm willing to do. If there's any time to test the market, now is the time. And I think you might be able to get away with some aggressive pricing like that. So here's what I'm willing to do. We can go on at 250, so long as you agree, if within the first week or 2 weeks, we don't have any offers and we're not really doing any showings, we agree to reduce it right down to 230 so we can get it sold sooner rather than later. But that will give you the peace of mind and allow you to test the market to see if we can hit 250. And if we can't, well, now we know. Now we know 250 is too high. Let's make the adjustment and get it sold for you. If they'll agree to that, great, let's do it. If they don't agree to that, I say, okay, sounds good. To be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the job done for you. at that price, and I would rather be honest with you today than disappoint you in the future. So thanks for having me out. You have a lovely home. I wish you nothing but success. If for some reason you change your mind and you're more in line with this price, I would certainly love to come back and help you. If they don't go with me, they go someone else at $250 and it expires off the market, who do you think I'm going to call? Call you back up. Leanne, I see your home's off the market. It looks like you didn't really have any luck at $250. Is that right? I'm sorry to hear that, but I think now you know I was being 100% honest with you at our original meeting when I told you we need to go on at this price. So here's what I'd love to do. Why don't I come on out, we'll meet again, we'll sign the paperwork if you're still looking to sell, and let's get it sold this time at a price that'll get it done for you. That's how I would approach it. Now, obviously, it doesn't always work that well or that easily, but that's how it goes. It's okay to say no. If you know somebody's crazy, do yourself a favor and don't get stuck working with crazy. Because it's going to suck your time, your energy, your effort. You're going to be like, this is nuts. Why am I working with this person? Why did I do this to myself? Right? You're going to want to cancel. But ask them, where do you think we should price based on this? And I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, they either give me the exact price that I think they should go on at, or they give me under, which is perfect. Because then I can say, you know what, Brad, I think actually we can do a little bit better for you. And we list it at where I think it should, and it sells for that. And where's Brad think of me now? Because he told me a price less, and I got, well, guess who just earned his commission? Because I got you more for your home, right? So take that for what it's worth.
Be prepared when you go.
Yeah.
If they say, well, the neighbor's house sold for $250 or $260 or whatever, bring the facts. You know, half the time they're wrong, or most of the time they're wrong.
They know what it got listed for.
Yeah.
They know it listed at $580. They don't really know it sold for $550 plus 3%.
And even if it says it sold for $250, you may have paid closing costs.
Right.
Ended up netting less. Bring your ammunition.
The
Right.
easiest way to say no, I'm not gonna take your listing as closure. The lady said, what are you doing? I said, I told you I'll only meet her maybe 10 or 15 minutes if we can't work this deal.
Right.
And she said, you just stay right here. Bernie, you're gonna sign the paperwork. Because we'd already had the conversation that led up to this. He'd had it on the market for $345, $325, and it needed to be under $300. And I said, I told you I was only gonna be here 15 or 20 minutes. I said, we can't do anything, and if we can, it'll go forward. He said, I'm not selling it for that.
And I call it like it is too when I'm in the appointment, because I tell them, here's the deal, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know what you want to hear. I already know what you want to hear. I know that you want to hear your home is worth $1 million. And then I usually throw in this joke, and believe me, I would love to sell it for $1 million. But I'm not going to tell you what it is that I know you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the facts. And here's the deal. If what I'm telling you makes you feel uncomfortable, or it's not exactly what you want to hear, well, then you know it means I'm being honest with you. And I might use that same phrase I used before, because I would rather be honest with you today than disappoint you in the future. I'm going to be honest with you about price. If I, thank you. It's not mine. I believe it's Diana Kokoska's. Because if I do take it at that higher price, or because some people will buy the listing. Do we know what that means when an agent buys the listing? It means they know Jim was just in there, and they're interviewing, and they say, well, what did Jim tell you? He told me $230. Well, they did their CMA and also said $230, but they said, well, I can get you $250. But they just bought the listing.
Or I'll do it for 4% instead of.
That's another way, right? And then what happens is it doesn't sell, it stays on, they get frustrated. You're getting frustrated too. So just take it at what it should be at, and if not, then guess what? On to the next one. It's a numbers game.
And their words then are, you said the price.
Yeah.
When you buy them,
Yep.
you set the price.
And here's what I would tell them. Well, yes, I think that's enough. I don't want to keep hijacking your class here. But when you approach it that way, it makes it a little bit easier. And if they're not going to be realistic with you on price, or what makes it, that's what I was going to say, it makes it much easier for me to come back and say, hey, Leanne, you've been at $250 for a couple of weeks now. We haven't seen any offers. We don't have any more showings. So I'm just circling back to that conversation we had on day one that said what we would do right now is go ahead and make that price correction. So I want to let you know, I've already done the paperwork. I'm going to email it to you for your signature. We can go ahead and we can get the price corrected today.
We don't need a signature, we just call Nikki.
Well, you want to make sure they know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Jim.
it makes that conversation much easier because it's not, I took it at 250, now I'm calling him 2 weeks later to try to beat him up and get him down. No, we already had this conversation, you agreed to it, and here's what will sometimes happen when you make that phone call. Say, hey, Chris, it's been a couple weeks, just call and follow up with you and say, hey, Zach, I appreciate you calling, it's probably about time for that price reduction, isn't it? That's a lot easier than when you have to do it the opposite. Brad's got a listing right now where he's been working with this client. You were pretty honest with her from day one, right? That, hey, it's going on high. We'll test the market, but almost every day it seems like you're probably calling to reevaluate the price, right? Try to help get it in line with where it can sell. You got an offer, so you know you're not too far off base, but
What's the statistic to do a price adjustment?
Jim, do you want to answer that one? I've heard you probably want to do at least 5% at a minimum. Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, sometimes if it depends on the price range too.
Absolutely.
If it's a $600,000 house, it should be 5. Well, get there as fast as you can. And I've got a listing that's $699, and we've had 3 offers for $600, and they turned down all 3 of them.
Well,
But it should tell them that that's what it's worth. It's where we should be.
yeah, because let me ask you this: is a $5,000 price reduction on a home at $185 different than a $5,000 price reduction on a home at $799? A $5,000 price reduction on $799 is nothing. That's why a percentage, if you do the percentage, it's more in line with being consistent with the sale price, right? That needs to be a more significant price reduction.
3 to 5%.
5%. I'm aggressive with those price reductions.
Talk about it upfront.
Yeah, absolutely. Set the expectation. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for putting up with us.
He didn't have a choice, Don.
If anybody needs
Thank
help
you.
with their CMA first one or whatever, I'd be happy to help.